What is up, Raveraide fam? Welcome to another episode of the Raveraide podcast with your host, Tyler Hardy. And as always, I just want to take a moment to express my overwhelming love and gratitude for each and every single one of you guys who tune in on a daily and weekly basis to talk about all things Raveraide, self-improvement, spirituality, biohacking, all the things that we love to talk about here at Raveraide in regards to helping you become the most self-loved and self-actualized version of yourself, so then that way you can share your gift with the world and make the world a better place with us here at Raveraide. So hopping into today's episode, what we're going to be talking about is specifically freedom being a place in the mind, something that you achieve internally. It's nothing external outside of yourself. That is reflection of your internal state. And so I do believe in freedom. I do believe that you have to work for your own freedom in this lifetime with the way that things are set up. And it's one of those things where you do have to put in, disproportionate amounts of work and effort towards what it is that you're passionate about, so that way you can make a quality life for yourself, for your family, and for the others around you. And so one thing that I realized for a long time, I was the classic, once I have this, then I'll be this, I'll feel this emotion, I'll feel this level of freedom, etc. And I was that for a long time. And I do believe that that's part of living in a lower vibrational frequency. I've gone on this, big spiritual journey over the years of self-development, self-improvement. And, I've told this to many people, as you go so far outside of yourself, looking for the answers, looking for the solutions, looking for the direction. When in reality, it takes you all the way back to yourself at the very end of it, just to make you realize that you always had it all along. It was always here. And oftentimes that we cover those things up and block those things with, lower vibrational belief systems or habits or patterns or tendencies or addictions and things that keep us from realizing how special it is that we truly are, and how special it is that we actually can be on a daily basis, and how extraordinary we can be on a daily basis to create the change that we want to see in this world with whatever it is that you desire to do. And so coming to this realization and knowing that freedom is a place that you achieve in the mind, it's a level of peace that you gain with yourself, where you're able to look at the things in the past and they no longer have an emotional pull on you. They no longer make you feel shame, guilt, doubt, fear, anxiety, worry, whatever it is that you might be going through. You're able to have the level of peace and freedom to objectively look at those things and see those things happened. Maybe I did the best I could with what I had to work with at that time. And as a result of that, I forgive myself. I choose to move on. I know that I'm capable of more. I know that I'm capable of providing and giving more. And as a result of that, we obtain freedom, we obtain peace. And when we obtain those things, our outer reality begins to reflect that. Because again, and if you listen to this podcast, you'll hear me say this until, the end of time for myself, is that you are the vibrational center point for all things to be created in your life. And the reason for that is because everything outside of you is the direct result, is the effect of the causation of you and what you believe, what you think, what you feel, how you act. You're in full control of this reality. You're in full control of your life. And so many of us have, been conditioned to believe otherwise, believe that that's not true, to believe that that's something outside of us dictates and controls our reality. And I can tell you right now, to reach that level of freedom in the mind, you cannot believe that. You cannot allow for that to happen. You cannot allow for that to transpire in your life on a daily basis. You have to take control. And not only just be in control of what you can control, but also be in synchronization with creation, with God, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, infinite intelligence. I'm not here to tell you what to believe in. I'm here to tell you that you have access to that infinite intelligence at any given point if you so choose. And so really getting back to it here, freedom is something that we all have access to. We have access to being free in the mind, and it just takes practice. It takes a combination of things. And I'll share some of the things that have really helped me with getting to that place and continuing to uncover that. And I think that there's so many layers to it, and there's more and more to be discovered. But compared to where I used to be and where I'm at now, like the level of peace and calmness in my mind is so much greater. And I'm so grateful for that for a number of reasons, because it's added to the quality of my life. It allows my health to be better. It allows me to be a better friend. It allows me to be more present. It allows me to be more embodied. And these are all things that I want for you. Because when I share things on this podcast, it's with the main intention to help you actualize the best version of yourself. And so that's why we talk about these specific things. And so kind of getting into things I've done that have really helped in regards to finding that peace, finding that level of freedom in my mind, has been one, taking better care of my physical body. And I've realized over time that level of care definitely needs to increase as you get older. There's more, or there's less leeway for, doing things that are not for your highest good for a constructive purpose, like eating poorly or not exercising the way that you need to, or doing yoga or doing cold plunges or whatever it is that, I do now that I didn't do before. Those things all have an intention and purpose. And when we start infusing that intention into everything, it makes it easier to do. It makes it something that you want to do on a daily basis, And so, for example, like doing a cold plunge every single day, I know that it's going to help me achieve a greater level of peace within inside of myself, better mental clarity, better ability to do well with Raveraide and everything else that I have going on. It allows me to be more present as a friend. It allows me to be more present for myself. It allows me to have a greater spiritual practice. It allows my meditations to be better. You start just building this compelling list of all these things that it's helping with. And then you start seeing the benefit and making that positive neural association that this is amazing for me. And you have no problem getting in. There's no resistance to getting in. The resistance is our mind and our ego that creates separation from that perfection and freedom that we all desire and we all deserve on a daily basis. And so that's a big part of it, is taking good care of your physical body. And the reason for that is because your body can either be the thing that helps propel you forward and helps you get into those higher levels of consciousness, or it can be a prison. It can be one of those things where you're so vibrationally stuck and dense that you don't get to tap into those greater potentials for yourself. And it's all a personal choice. I've been both of them. And again, you get to choose, through your habits, attitudes, actions, and emotions, you get to choose what it is that you get to experience. And so physical health is really important. Taking good care of your body, listening to your body, knowing when to rest. That's a big one, because I've been pushing it really hard all year, and I started getting some biofeedback that my body wasn't, tolerating the workouts as well and things like that. So I've taken, almost a week and a half off the gym, which I haven't done in quite some time. And it's been good. It's been really nice to rest and relax. I've been focusing on more restorative yoga and getting my body back into alignment and things like that. And so listening to your body is really, really important, because it's going to indicate to you what you need in order to be able to maintain, homeostasis and optimal health. And so that part's really big in regards to achieving freedom, loving the body that you're in, loving, the way it moves, the way it can function. Our bodies are so incredible when they begin to be unlocked. I think that most people are using a fraction of their body's potential. And, I keep discovering more and more of that on a daily basis and realizing that this thing is a tool, and it's something that we don't get to keep forever, but it's something that we get to enjoy for the time being, and taking good care of it. It's like the ultimate sign of gratitude and respect for the experience that you're getting to have, and when you're in a place where, you're not really loving life, or you feel disconnected or disassociated, it's one of those things where, what I'm saying may not really ring or resonate as truth, but as you keep developing, you'll start seeing how important the body is, and how much, again, we don't take good care of it. And I've had to come to terms with that and acknowledge, you haven't taken the best care of your body in the past, so now you really need to take good care of it from here on out to be able to, have the best experience possible and maintain that level of freedom. And so, when we don't take good care of our bodies physically with the foods that we eat and the things that we do and the people we expose ourselves to, it's one of those things where, your mind begins to slip. You become more susceptible to programming from others and bad habits of others and, external things going on. And that's not to say that the external environment can't shape, the internal belief system and really validate and solidify it, right? But when you're in control, when you're present and embodied, you get to a place where you know, are less affectable by the things that are going on around you, because you have, a North Star on which direction to head and how to head in that direction, what habits and attitudes and actions are going to keep you heading in that direction. Then you can easily make decisions around things that are incongruent, that aren't necessarily for your highest good. And so physical health is super important, obviously, in creating that level of balance and homeostasis in the body to achieve that level of peace and freedom that we all deserve. Second is going to be, the meditative practice. I've been meditating since 2018 and pretty avidly. I probably would say, if I had to guess, I probably am over 1,000 hours of meditation, if not more than that. That's just like a really crude estimate. But it's one of those things where it continues to evolve, and being able to gain that level of mental clarity and peace and freedom within myself has really allowed me to see the deep inner workings of reality, and that there's so much more going on than what I previously once realized. And I'm telling you now, that it doesn't really matter where you're at, there's more to the story than what you're probably realizing. And the reason that we miss it is because the way that everything is designed is to keep us busy, stressed, and disconnected and disassociated. Whether that be through stimulants or, screens or bad foods or whatever it is that, you can get stuck in. It's one of those things where that keeps you from achieving that level of freedom that we all deserve. And so that meditative practice has been so important for me. It's really changed my life. It's probably been the single biggest catalyst for my development. Out of everything, it's been the meditative practice. And it's one of those things where I commonly hear people say, well, I don't have time for that. And if you don't have time for that, you probably need to do double the time. Really, because if you can't make the time, if you don't have time, then you're screwed, because that's all you really do have. So that's really not a good excuse when people say they don't have time. It's not. I look at it, it's like it's not a priority. And as a result of that, it's going to cost you way more than what you think it's going to cost you by not prioritizing things like that are really important to you. And so really developing a heavy meditative practice that's going to help you gain that level of awareness to become the objective viewer of your reality is going to help you attain that level of freedom that I'm talking about in the mind that every single one of us deserves. And so, moving on from that, going up the pyramid of self-mastery, relationships, right? Your relationships are super important. And one thing that I'll say is that as you evolve and you change, people tend to try to hold you in the same position that they have associated you at before. Meaning that as you change, as you no longer fit the mold of their preconceptions of who you are, you'll notice they'll make comments, they'll do things that will try to pull you back into what you once were. And that's where the meditative practice comes in, because we've gained the awareness to realize that we're no longer what we once were, and that we choose to be something greater. So that way, when someone tries to pull you back into a predictable pattern, you're able to clearly see, oh, you know what? That's not me, and that's not who I am. I'm not going to engage in that, or I'm not going to allow that to happen. Then you start to see who's actually really conducive for your health and well-being. And people who were once really conducive and healthy for that may not be that anymore. And that's part of the law of detachment, is knowing that the best outcome's always coming for you. So as a subsequent result of that, if a person no longer fits that mold, then it's okay just to let them go. It's okay to allow them to leave, and not hold on out of fear or lower vibrational energy. And so that's a big part of attaining freedom as well. And so your relationship's really important, but the most important relationship is always going to be with yourself. It's always going to be the relationship that you have to yourself. It's always going to be the relationship and connection that you have to your, most optimal, ideal well-being. And that's the most important relationship, and it always will, because when you set the tone for how you want to be respected through yourself, it sets the tone for what you're willing to tolerate with others. And that completely changes the landscape of the people that you have in your life that are involved with you. And it's a beautiful thing, because the more that we keep getting reflected back that we're doing the right thing, that we have freedom in our mind, that we have freedom to create and be our full selves unapologetically, it puts us in a place where we're able to really create at our full capacity, and we're able to step into our higher faculties on a daily basis effortlessly. So in that way we can create something that's amazing. And so really those are some of the big things I would say that really set the tone for achieving that level of freedom within yourself. It's not a place. It's not a place. It's a state of being. It's where you're at in your mind. It's being able to have something that might be stressful come up, and you're able to completely keep yourself emotionally centered, to keep yourself within yourself and not disassociate or check out or avoid, but stay right in the pocket and actually be able to, use your higher faculties to create a solution for whatever it is that you're experiencing. Because I believe that everything that we experience in this lifetime is perfectly and divinely created, so then that way we're able to really level up and develop, either physically, spiritually, mentally, or emotionally. And as we keep checking off those boxes and keep, knocking those things down and, really gaining the valuable lessons inside of each experience, we start learning more and more about ourselves, and we start trusting ourselves more. We start believing in ourselves more. We start having a deeper level of knowing that we've got our backs. We got ourselves taken care of. And I think that was a big life lesson that I'll touch on before we wrap up the episode here, is due to childhood trauma, due to kind of a lot of instability, due to, parental divorces, stuff like that. A lot of the things that a lot of us have experienced in our life, in my generation, there's a lot of instability, right? So when you have that void of feeling like someone had your back, or, someone was there to take care of you, it creates this instability that you can't even take care of yourself necessarily, or this belief system. And as a result of that, I had a really unstable, early 20s, because I didn't really know how to take good care of myself. And I also had the void of not having the confidence that other people were there to help take care of me when I needed it, right? And so I've really had to learn that, self independence, and learn how to know that I have my own back, and know that I have my best interest in mind, and that, I can always make sure that I'm taken care of regardless of circumstance. And when we develop those traumas into gifts, it makes us that much more powerful, because consciously having to develop that, in your later years, really shows you what you're made of. It shows you how special and powerful you are. So when I look at people who have traumas or challenges that they've experienced in their life, I look at those as potential superpowers. If you can get on to the other side of the pain and the trauma and look at the truth for what it is, gaining the awareness to see what it is, having the strength and courage to be able to sit and look at that truth objectively for as long as you need to, in order to be able to see the gift inside of that experience, extract it, and then alchemize it into a way of being, a level of freedom for yourself, and then use that as a superpower to help others, or to help yourself, live a better quality of life. I look at all things like that. I look at people who have traumas, some of the people who have some of the most beautiful gifts and superpowers that are available to them that they don't even realize yet. They don't even realize how special it is that they truly are, but it's on the other side of the work. It's on the other side of gaining that level of freedom in the mind. So then that way we can, really tap in and get the most out of our human experience. And so really think about that. And as always, I just want you to take what resonated as truth for you. So if, something in this podcast episode rang as truth for you, and it felt true to you, most importantly, it needs to feel true to you, not what I'm telling you, then I want you to take it. I want you to figure out a way to integrate it. I want you to contemplate upon it and really think about, in which ways have you limited yourself from freedom? In which ways have you limited yourself from that level of peace that you deserve in your mind? In which ways have you stopped yourself or blocked yourself from a great opportunity to heal or become, or whatever it is that you need to do in your life experience? And then figure out how to move on past that and get through that. So then that way you can see what the true gift was in that experience. Then that way you can become what it is I know that you're capable of becoming. That's what I want for you more than anything. And I hope that this lands, in your ears or on your screen at the perfect time, and it meets you in the perfect moment, in the perfect way. And I know that it will, because that's how things work. And, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that everything happens for a perfectly, divine reason at a perfect timing. And it's our job just to stay open to what that reasoning is. And so without further ado, guys, my name is Tyler Hardy. As always, I just want to appreciate each and every single one of you guys who tune in on a daily and weekly basis, just because, again, this is a huge part of my life's purpose. I'm just grateful to have people that want to listen and tune into what we're doing here at Raveraide and what we're creating, because it goes so much further than just supplements. This is about the liberation of human minds. And this is about helping as many people attain freedom within themselves as possible, so then that way their life reflects back to them, and they can share that love and that potential with as many people as possible, and creating a massive ripple effect that really changes the course of human history. So be sure to check us out at www.drinkraveraide.com. And as always, I hope you guys just have an amazing day. Stay blessed. We'll talk soon.